We now consider log number 5586R1 by Ms. Sherill. For what purposes does the gentlelady from New Jersey seek recognition?
Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment at the desk.
Will the clerk please distribute the amendment? Without objection, the reading of the amendment is dispensed with. The chair recognizes the gentlelady for the purpose of explaining her amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This amendment does not create new policy. It simply codifies current policy that the Department of Defense has been practicing for over a decade by affirming women's eligibility for combat roles and allows for waiver if necessary for exclusion. This amendment does not change requirements, standards, or qualifications for any service member assigned to their position in the military. So let me repeat this. This amendment does not change any standards, and suggestions that it does are simply misstatements meant to attack women's service. I graduated from the Naval Academy in 1994. The first year women were allowed to serve in certain combat roles, including my role as a naval aviator. I qualified as an expert shot in an M16 rifle, Colt 45, and a 9mm Beretta. I'd put my training up against anyone else's, and in the 9 years I served alongside incredibly intelligent, dedicated, and strong women whose service was just as valuable as anyone else's. More than 9,000 women have earned combat action ribbons during modern combat operations, including those in Iraq and Afghanistan, and hundreds more have earned Valor Awards. Take Army First Sergeant Leah Ann Hester, for example, who was the first woman awarded the Silver Star for direct combat action after her heroic actions against an enemy ambush in Iraq. She cleared 2 enemy trenches against overwhelming odds alongside her fellow soldiers. Neither her comrades nor the enemy cared if she was a man or a woman. Since 2015, women have been serving in direct combat roles alongside men. Whether it's conventional units or selective units, such as the 75th Ranger Regiment, women have served in these units in direct ground combat operations with distinction. Throughout the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, women operated in crucial roles under fire alongside men, like the women of the Lioness teams who cleared homes and gathered intelligence of suspected militants. Their service saved lives and contributed significantly to mission success. Oddly, Secretary Hegseth stated during his confirmation hearing that, quote, "Some of the best soldiers I ever worked with were women," and yet he continues to attack their service. Codifying women's eligibility for combat roles is about honoring the reality of our armed forces today. It's about ensuring fairness, maintaining our military's operational effectiveness, and recognizing the bravery and sacrifice of thousands of women who have fought and will continue to fight alongside their male counterparts. I urge my colleagues to support this amendment to codify women's eligibility for combat roles, and I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. Chair now recognizes himself. To be clear, this amendment purports to prevent gender from being considered when assigning service members to different positions. It does not mention men, women, or biological sex. It is already policy that the military assigns members based on merit and the needs of the service. Men and women may serve in any position they are qualified to serve. I oppose this amendment. Does anybody else wish to speak on Ms. Sherrill's amendment? Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Houlihan, Pennsylvania.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I am again in strong support of my colleague's amendment to codify women's roles in combat. It is very, very clear that Secretary Hegseth is on a mission to bit by bit get women out of the military. So this is another case of belts and suspenders. I fear that we need to codify the progress that women have made in combat. Time and time again, Secretary Hegseth has said that women should not be in combat roles, and since taking the helm at the Pentagon, he's removed top women leaders, he's changed fitness standards, he's scrubbed female military history, and more. Even in front of this very committee, he refused to acknowledge the vital role that women play in our military readiness, warfighting, and lethality. Aside from being empirically sexist and disrespectful, Secretary Hegseth's actions are irresponsible. Women do make up 18% of our active duty force and do make up 22% of our National Guard. And I believe this growth is not because of policy, it's despite recent policy. As I've already said, women's service improves innovation and mission outcomes. It makes our military stronger, smarter, and more prepared to face the challenges of modern warfare. Our military cannot be fully ready to face the challenges of tomorrow without maintaining and strengthening the numbers of women who serve, and we must continue to support the women who raise their hand. We must codify the role of women fighting for us in all ways, in all positions. I very much support my friend's amendment, and I urge my colleagues on all sides of the aisle, both sides of the aisle, to do the same. Thank you, and I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. Chair, and I recognize the gentleman from Mississippi, Mr. Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. While this is intended to promote equality, this amendment risks degrading military readiness and warfighting flexibility. Current authority exists under Title 10 USC Code 652, which already protects against unjust exclusion. I have served in combat with women that I proudly call my comrade in arms. They are just as lethal, just as good in some positions. The ability already exists for them to serve alongside anybody, anywhere. This is just a cheap shot at the Secretary of Defense. It has nothing to do. We don't need to codify it. It's already in the law. And so I just ask, do not support this amendment. Women are absolutely lethal and effective in all roles in the military, and we do not need a political statement made in this committee to do what they already have. With that, I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman yields back. Chair, and I recognize the gentleman from Colorado, Mr. Crow.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am proud to support Ms. Sherrill's amendment. You know, my colleagues have repeatedly said that the ability exists. That is often true, right? The executive branch and the Department of Defense often have the ability or the authority to do things. And yet, policy of any one administration set by the leader of the department can decide whether to do those things, which is why Congress exists. Because it's then our job, if we believe that the policy or the decisions of any one administration are inconsistent with the values of our nation or undermine the role of our military. This amendment would say that the policies of this administration when it comes to women in the military and in combat are inconsistent with the values and morals of this country and what's in the best interests of our service members. That's why we legislate. I did 3 combat tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. I can tell you a lot of things make up an effective combat soldier. Grit, courage, mental and physical toughness, steadiness, ingenuity, and teamwork. Men and women can and do possess these qualities. I am all about maintaining equal standards. That's what this amendment would do, but providing opportunity for men and women to stand up and to show those qualities and to serve our nation. And I would encourage my colleagues to join us in passing this amendment. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Chair, and I recognize the gentleman from New York, Mr. Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to thank my colleague, Ms. Sherrill, for introducing an important amendment. And again, as we've heard from my colleagues before this, these are not debates that we frankly thought we needed to have or should have to have, but we've seen a rollback of progress that has been made. Progress towards more Americans serving this country, more Americans, men and women, being able to step up and raise their right hand and take that oath that has now been in place and proven to be successful in creating a more lethal, cohesive, and effective force since the policy was put into place in 2013. So with respect to my colleagues, if our goals are to have more folks serving, to up our recruitment numbers, then why would you oppose codifying this? If, as Mr. Kelly rightly said, women have and continue to prove themselves as lethal and ferocious fighters, not just as lethal and ferocious as men, but in many, many cases, more lethal and ferocious than men. If you agree with that, as I appreciate him saying, then why would you oppose codifying that into law? So again, I just want to say that I support this and finally drive home the point of the reality. It's striking that 9,000 women have earned the same combat action badge ribbon that I proudly earned and many others on the committee and across the country. This is just about recognizing that and seeing it as an opportunity to unify the country, not to divide us. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Does any other member wish to speak on Ms. Sherrill's amendment? If there's no further debate, the question occurs on the amendment offered by Ms. Sherrill. So many as in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no.
No.
Pending the chair, the ayes have it. Recorded votes requested. Recorded vote will be postponed.